Ever wonder why some people never seem to get ahead financially, no matter how hard they try? It's like they're running on a treadmill, breaking a sweat but not moving an inch. Could it be that they're stuck in a vicious cycle of bad financial decisions, or perhaps they're victims of misguided advice? You see, navigating the choppy waters of personal finance isn't easy. It's like trying to steer a ship through a storm. One wrong move and you could be tossed into a sea of debt and disappointment. But here's the kicker. It's not always about the decisions you make. Sometimes it's about the advice you choose not to follow. Financial literacy is more than just knowing how to save or invest. It's about understanding the consequences of each financial decision you make. It's about differentiating between sound advice and financial fallacies. Now, we've all heard some questionable pieces of wisdom over the years. Invest in gold, it's the safest bet. Or buy a house as soon as you can, it's the best investment. Or stay away from credit cards, they're evil. Sounds familiar, right? But what if I told you that some of this advice is not only misleading, but could also be detrimental to your financial growth? That's right. In the world of personal finance, one size does not fit all. What works for one person may not work for another. What seems like a golden opportunity to one may be a financial disaster to another. It's all about understanding the nuances, weighing the pros and cons, and making informed decisions. In this video, we're going to debunk some of these financial myths. We're going to dive deep into the world of personal finance and sift through the good, the bad, and the downright ugly advice that's out there. We're going to talk about the advice that I chose not to follow and why I'm glad I didn't. So buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey through the labyrinth of personal finance. Are you ready? Now let's dive into some personal finance advice that I'm relieved I didn't follow. Remember when everyone was saying to invest in gold? Yeah, dodge that bullet. Let me share a story about a buddy of mine. Let's call him Jake. Jake was always a trend follower. When the wave of gold investment hit, he was right there riding the crest. Now don't get me wrong, gold can be a good investment. But like anything in the world of finance, it's not about what you invest in, but how and when you do it. Jake was convinced that gold was the golden ticket to wealth. He'd heard stories, read articles, and got advice from experts, saying that gold was the safest bet. So, he put a significant chunk of his savings into buying gold, expecting it to yield a fortune. The problem was, Jake didn't do his due diligence. He didn't understand the market, the factors affecting gold prices, or the right time to buy or sell. He just saw a shiny object and leaped. When the market dipped, Jake was left holding a bag of gold that was worth less than what he'd paid for it. His golden dream turned into a nightmare. He was stuck with an investment that was sinking like a stone, and he didn't have a plan B. This isn't a story to scare you off from investing in gold or any other asset. It's a tale of caution, a reminder that following investment trends without proper research is like walking on thin ice. You never know when it might crack. Jake's story is a stark reminder of the importance of understanding what you're investing in. It's about knowing the risks, the potential gains, and having a clear strategy. It's about not putting all your eggs in one basket just because everyone else is doing it. So that's the story of why I'm glad I didn't invest in gold when everyone else was doing it. Remember, the world of investment isn't about following the crowd. It's about making informed decisions based on research and not just chasing the glitter of gold. Scene script. Here's another one. Buy a house as soon as you can. Sounds like a good piece of advice, right? Not so fast. Let's unpack this a bit. Buying a house is undoubtedly a significant milestone. It's often seen as a symbol of success, of having made it in life. But here's the catch. It's also a massive financial commitment, one that can put a strain on your finances if you're not fully prepared. Now, don't get me wrong. Real estate can be a fantastic investment, but the key word here is investment. It's not something you rush into just because everyone else is doing it or because you feel the pressure to keep up. It's something you do when you've done your homework, crunched the numbers, and decided that it's the right move for you. I remember when I landed my first job, fresh out of college. The first piece of advice I got from well-meaning friends and family was to buy a house. They said it was the smart thing to do, that I'd be throwing my money away on rent otherwise, but I resisted that pressure. Instead, I chose to rent and save, giving myself the financial flexibility I needed to navigate those early years of my career. Looking back, I'm glad I made that choice. It allowed me to focus on growing my career and building my savings without the added stress of a mortgage hanging over my head. It gave me the freedom to move cities for better job opportunities. And when I did finally buy a house, I did it on my terms when I was ready and not a moment sooner. So the next time someone tells you to buy a house as soon as you can, remember this: there's no one-size-fits-all approach to personal finance. What works for one person might not work for another. Take your time, do your research, and make the decision that's right for you. And that's why I'm glad I didn't rush into buying a house. Ever heard that credit cards are the root of all financial evil? Well, let's unravel this misconception. Picture this. You're strolling through the financial advice forest, and out of nowhere you're hit with this advice: avoid credit cards at all costs. It's as common as leaves on trees. But is it true? Are credit cards really the financial equivalent of a boogeyman lurking in your wallet? Well, here's a plot twist. Credit cards aren't inherently evil or good. They're just a financial tool, a piece of plastic that can either help or harm your financial health depending on how you use them. Now let's take a trip down memory lane. Once upon a time, I was advised to steer clear of credit cards. The idea was that if I didn't have one, I couldn't fall into debt. Sounds logical, right? But here's the thing. By not having a credit card, I was also missing out on building a good credit history. And in today's world, a strong credit score is as essential as a good pair of shoes. So I decided to get a credit card. Now, I didn't go on a wild shopping spree or buy a yacht. Instead, I used it responsibly. I made small purchases and paid them off in full each month. I never spent more than I could afford to pay back. And guess what? My credit score started to rise. This isn't a fairy tale. It's a real-life example of how credit cards can be beneficial when used wisely. Yes, they can lead to debt if misused, but when handled responsibly, they can help build a solid credit history, which can open doors to better interest rates on loans, insurance policies, and even impact your job prospects. So, no, credit cards aren't evil. Misusing them is. All right, let's recap the bad financial advice we've debunked today. First, we tackled the invest in gold fiasco. The glitz and glamour of gold can be alluring, but remember, its value fluctuates wildly and it doesn't provide a regular income like stocks or bonds. Diversification is key in any investment strategy, and putting all your eggs in one shiny golden basket is a risk you don't need to take. Next, we busted the buy a house ASAP myth. Sure, home ownership is a dream for many, but rushing into it without proper planning can turn that dream into a financial nightmare. It's essential to consider all the costs involved, not just the mortgage payments. Maintenance, insurance, property tax, these all add up. Renting isn't throwing money away, it's buying flexibility and time to save for a solid down payment. Then we put to rest the credit cards are evil misconception. Credit cards, like any financial tool, can be beneficial when used wisely. They can help build your credit score, offer rewards, and provide a safety net in case of emergencies. The key here is responsible use. Pay off your balance in full each month, and you'll reap the benefits without falling into debt. In all these cases, we've seen that blanket financial advice can lead you astray. What works for one person may not work for you. Your financial decisions should be based on your personal circumstances, goals, and risk tolerance. It's crucial to do your own research, and when in doubt, consult with a financial advisor. Their expertise can guide you in making informed decisions that align with your financial goals. In conclusion, while some pieces of financial advice may seem like solid gold, they can often lead you down a path of thorns. Always scrutinize the advice you receive and consider its relevance to your personal situation. Remember, not all financial advice is created equal. Always do your homework and make sure the advice aligns with your personal financial goals.